And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Power Man Podcast. My name's Rory Paquette, your host. You know that already. You know who we are, where we are, and you know why you're here. You're here because you want to be better tomorrow than you are today. And that is something that our guest today is going to be talking about at an upcoming seminar. We're going to tell you all about it. Before we jump into that, I want to make sure that I tell everybody a huge thank you. Huge thank you. I do this a lot, I know, but you know what? It's my show. So if I want to thank you guys, I'm gonna. And we've had so much outpouring and support from you guys since I had my surgery, with the show, with our guests. We have a lot of people who want to get on this show, and you guys following those guys and going to their seminars and looking them up and everything else really does help our show continue to grow way, way, way past where we are. We're in almost at 170 episodes. We've been doing this for years, and we're in over 40 countries right now, and we're there because of you. So thank you for being there, for following us along, and for staying with us all these years. We have opened up our men's coaching. At this point, almost every guy who's been in it has renewed. So I want to make sure that if any of you guys want to jump in, I do have 4 open spots that we created in addition to the guys who were here before. As you guys know, anybody who's doing it now gets first right of refusal to take their spot. And it looks like they're all going to take their spots and continue going with the coaching. So if any of you guys want to jump in, message me, Facebook, Instagram, email me at powerofmanpodcast@gmail.com. I don't care. Find me. I'm easy to find. Let me know. I also want to say thank you to all you guys who had some really nice things to say about me doing that 5K. And I want to thank those of you who reminded me that I still have to lose weight. Thank you for that. I really needed to hear that kind of crap when I was celebrating my 5K. So thank you to all of you. But you guys know who you are, and I love you. So let's get to our guest today. We got an awesome guy. He is got a story to tell. He has overcome some serious adversity, and he's going to tell you about that today. He's a motivational speaker and coach himself. He has a very big seminar coming up. The seminar itself starts on the 16th. He's going to be speaking on the 17th of December, and this episode comes out on, I believe, the 11th. All right. So when you guys hear this episode, and I know thousands of you are going to hear it, make sure you look this up. You go find this guy on Facebook. I'll give you all the info later, and it'll all be in the show notes. Please welcome to the show, Ryan Wickline. Ryan, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Oh, if I was any better, I'd be twins, man. Just don't tell anybody. Don't let anybody know that, all right? But no, I love your energy. I love your attitude. You and I had a discovery call a little while ago, and the whole time I was sitting listening to you, I was like, dang, just listen to this guy, listening to his story. You guys are gonna have to pardon him. He may cough a little bit. He came on the show early, and I probably should have given him another week to heal, but he's dealing with a cold, kind of like a lot of us are. And Ryan, listen, tell everybody a little bit about you, where you came from, what led you to where you are now.
So, grew up a typical person, grew up in Ohio, Wapakoneta, Ohio. I mean, small town, everything. Wasn't much to do as a kid besides sports, school, and, hanging out with friends. All that hanging out with the friends led to drinking and smoking weed, partying, was always a good student, loved sports, was very big into sports. Wrestling was my favorite. Said, just kind of led me to get a college degree, or to get accepted to Ohio State and had a full academic scholarship, which I ended up pretty much pissing away
Oh,
because I became addicted to cocaine and ecstasy and all other sorts of drugs. And it became more about partying and drinking than actually going to class.
yeah, and that happens to a
So,
lot of folks. I mean, your story is not unique there. You're unfortunately that type of stuff claims a lot of men. But you got your story is you got past it, and somehow God helped you with it. And how long were you an addict?
so probably around between probably 15 to 18 years, somewhere in between there.
Wow.
So it was
Wow.
a struggle and it seen my addictions evolved over time. So it went from like marijuana and drinking beer. Well, actually, alcohol first. Then I started smoking marijuana. And then when I turned 18 was the first time I tried cocaine. And that was like the thing that led me into extreme darkness.
Really? Okay.
Like, yes, I couldn't get away from that drug. Like the other drugs I tried before and I could stop, but cocaine was the one that took me down a deep dive. So it even led me to start selling drugs when I was in college
Oh man.
because I could make sure at first it was so I could get mine for free. And then eventually it became, I wasn't selling any of it. I was just using it all.
Right.
So
Wow. I mean, you hear that and you hear that the number of years and you hear about somebody who's, addicted like that and is getting dragged down. Um, how does somebody who's been down that road for that long find a way to look up?
I had to find kind of my why. And it wasn't until I got it kind of away from the cocaine, like I got addicted to methamphetamines too there for around a year. So towards the end of my addictions. And I had to find a why that was bigger than myself.
Hmm. Okay.
And once I kind of found that, but I had turned to God. Like I always believed in God growing up, but like I said, I didn't ever really know him and or let him into my heart because going to mass, going to church every Sunday, like the people I was around, they didn't teach us nothing about, well, you have to know him, have a relationship with him. It was all about, we just go to church every
Yeah.
Sunday because that's what you're supposed to do. So I didn't
Yeah.
know any of the other stuff that went along with it. And then, like, as I got older towards high school, I would skip going to church. I would just skip it because what's the reason? But I always believed in God and felt like, always believed in that. And like a lot of the stuff that led me to my addictions was like death and losing people because I felt like I couldn't control stuff.
Okay. So
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 like
grief
deaths in
was
my
what took you
family.
over.
Yeah, it was grief and like loss of stuff that I would lose,
Okay.
you know.
So you went back to the drugs to kind of handle the pain of the
Yes.
loss and the grief.
Yep. I mean, that's
Okay.
all it was. It was just like a cyclical cycle. So whenever I would stop using, and I'd happen for like a couple weeks here and there, or, a little bit, maybe a month at most, where I could stave it off, maybe 2 months there for a little bit, and then boom, I'd be attacked with something.
Yeah.
And I mean big time and like would lose something very, very precious to me. Like people that I truly cared about, and that just led me down to her deepward spiral. And then when I'd hit that next cycle, boom, I'd go lower and lower.
Wow. Now, how did again, I know that you tried a couple times. We talked about this, we were on the phone together. You tried several times to kind of kick it, and you were successful for a little while, maybe a month or two, that type of thing. You kept getting dragged back into it. I know the grief had a lot to kind of to do with pulling you back down. But what what was the definitive thing that you were able to grab hold of that you were able to like anchor yourself with that pulled you out to stay?
I would say it was God. Like the
Yeah.
night I quit using for good, I was sitting around a campfire with some friends. It was just like a couple days after my birthday too. So we were all drinking, snorting some cocaine, and I just had like a out of body experience kind of where I was watching, I could see everything going on and was sitting there watching one of my friends who's no longer with us. He succumbed to his addictions and he was picking fights with everybody there at this party. And I just remember my soul speaking to me and saying, Ryan, what are you doing here? You're telling me you want to coach these athletes because I just started a nonprofit youth wrestling academy right before I fell back into a relapse
Hmm.
and was helping kids and just like, what are you doing here? How can you be a role model of these kids and be sitting here? It's like, and then you tell me you want to be with this girl who I just had broken up with that we like had a falling out. He was like, how can you be with her if you're sitting around here using drugs? So, like I said, my soul spoke to me. So I went and gave away the rest of my cocaine, walked home, never touched it since.
Just flat out cold turkey from that moment
Yep,
forward.
and just start putting in the work with prayers and everything else. It wasn't easy. It like for about the first week or so, it was easy. And then I thought, oh yeah, I got this kicked. And then all of a sudden, whom the more and more attacks came, and like I can tell you, I've never felt like I did with some of these attacks because I had to deal with the loss of a dad, loss of a child, loss of my grandma, like dealing with all that, and then all the other stuff in my life that I'd never dealt with at all. I mean, it was hard, and it
Yeah.
was like the God was telling me, "Oh, deal with it." But guess what? There's one condition: you can't use drugs or alcohol to deal with it.
So, how long is that's the withdrawal period, and you're going through
Yeah,
physical reactions and attacks. And, I've heard about this from some other guys. So I know that's different for everybody, in terms of how long it is and what the attacks look like. What did withdrawal look like for you? Can you give everybody an idea of what your withdrawal kind of looked like through your eyes?
like my withdrawal was just mostly like I'd say just I had to go stay away from everybody for the longest time. Like the only people I'd go around is like my mom or go to workplaces. And some of those days were really, really hard because I was like an emotional roller coaster. I felt like one day I was up, next day I was down, and some days I didn't
Mhm.
want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
Like, and some days I didn't get out of bed because it was that bad. Like, this lasted probably about 3, 4 months. And the bad thing about it, I was trying to go, I was just was enrolled back in college and was trying to go get my degree because I was like, yeah, I need to go start getting my life back in check. And I had to drop out that quarter because we were getting towards the end and I was just such an emotional wreck and couldn't keep my head around things. And it's
Mhm.
crazy because I ended up moving a guy into my house who was one of my friends, and he was going through kind of what I'd went through, and I moved
No
him in
kidding.
to give
All
to help
right.
him out. So it kind of gave me a little bit of, hey, I got to be strong for him too, and show him the way. But he was still using. I just told him you're just not allowed to use here. If you're going to use, go somewhere else. But
Did that help you having somebody else that was there, even though you're helping him because you're still kind of accountable to him now? You're
some
helping him, but you can't relapse either, or he's going down.
Yeah, I would say for somewhat it kind of helped me, but I mean, I was around a lot better people in my life around that time. Like I was chasing something. So one big thing I was doing was I was coaching wrestling again.
Mhm.
So, and I was around these kids and we were chasing something. And so I was giving them a couple days of my time, probably a couple days a week, working 2 jobs, going to school. So I mean, I was really, really busy with stuff, and then constant prayer, constant prayer. So I was rarely ever home except to go to sleep, and I'd wake up and pray.
Wow. Did you have any sort of conduit between you and God? I mean, were you talking to a priest or a minister or anybody, or was this just straight up you, your belief, and the big guy?
No, I'd go meet with the priest. My priest at first it started um, probably once a week. I'd go visit with him once a week, and a lot of times it was just me confessing my sins. So we go talk, and then towards the end, I confess, and it
Right.
was just because uh, stuff on my heart would keep coming up of what I'd done wrong in my past. So I couldn't always get it out on the regular confession time. So I'd go to him when we start confessing. Well, about a couple months in, we moved it to once every 2 weeks. And then for about another 2 months, and I moved it to once a month. And I still go once a month to go talk with the priest just to see how I'm doing, like growing spiritually.
Mhm.
And they give me advice on, things I can't see. A lot of times it's just me pouncing ideas off them so I can kind of see the big board. And I'm like, thanks for your help. They're like, we didn't do nothing. You did it all. I'm like, well, sometimes I need to see my thoughts out there and kind of put them out there to see which way I'm supposed to go.
Sure. Now, how'd you end up connecting with the priest and stuff with what you were dealing with? Did somebody reach out to you, or did this all just come from that moment when you were sitting around a bonfire?
No, well, I'd already been, so I was born and raised Catholic.
Okay.
And when I started recovery meetings and started giving more emphasis to God, I went back to the church. And everybody, my mom and them guys were like, man, who would ever thought the kid that used to skip church all the time, like he's the one we least expected to go start going back to church. He's like diving head first into church and mass and everything else, everything to do with the church. But so I was like getting very involved in the church, but like talk with the priest and stuff. One of the priests was an ex wrestler, so it was kind of easy for me to talk with him about stuff, and they kind of knew my story. But when I decided I had to meet him, I was walking to the gym and I was having a very bad day, like really hard struggling with my emotions and everything, what was going on, to kind of the withdrawal symptoms of everything. I was walking to the gym and I ran into the priest and we were just talking. I was saying hi to him and everything. And out of the blue, one of my old teachers comes up and sees me and we start talking. And she asked me what I'm doing with my life now. And then she was one of my favorite teachers growing up. So that was we were like really, really close. Like had that really close student teacher bond. And she asked me what I was planning on doing now. I said, well, I'm going back to school, thinking about becoming a teacher. And she goes, do it. I go, I would, but I'm dealing with so much junk right now. She goes, that is what he's here for. Go to him. So from there, I kind of took her advice and started doing that.
Forgot I had my mute on. I'm over here talking and nothing's coming out, and my computer's talking to me. Sorry, brother.
No, you're good.
Um, yeah. So anybody who was watching the video version of this is like, what is this idiot doing? But yeah, so it's good that you have a support system. Everybody needs some kind of a support system, which is good. You had a couple of different, aspects of that, which is excellent. The I'm a little curious still. Because I've talked to so many guys who have had those moments, those where the seas part, type of thing. The light shines, whatever, and you feel like you've been spoken to a little. But when it comes right down to it, is somebody has a moment where they simply are being called, and it's like, hey, enough. You've done enough. Enough of this direction. And if they have to slap you hard, they're going to slap you hard. But it's time for you to wake up and move forward. And so, was there anything leading up to that moment, there at the bonfire that changed your life? I mean, did you see any of it coming? Were you trying to get there, or was it literally just out of the blue?
I was trying to get there. I
You were.
mean, it was probably like a 6 month to 7 month period where like I made a drastic shift so I was released from jail on a domestic violence charge with my girlfriend. So we both got in trouble and we were both jail at the same time
Okay.
and had such a toxic relationship. But I was released from jail doing work release. I spent like 20 some days in there. And in jail, I was trying to get clean and sober and going to Bible studies, church, sober recovery meetings. And when I was released from jail, she called me and picked a fight with me and acted like I was to blame for her being in jail. So what I do, I went and relapsed. Coming out of
Oh
jail, I
no.
relapsed right away.
Yeah.
And that Friday, I remember I had my mom make me go to that meeting, to a celebrate recovery meeting outside of jail. And I remember walking in there and I ran into a guy I knew who I used to party with at the bars. I'm like, he was outside. He had a smile ear to ear and everybody had smiles. So I walk in and I mean, I was a train wreck, just got out of jail. I was still on drugs and they kept trying to I was in there, introduced myself to everybody and they were praise and worship songs. And the one song that came on was like, I'm free. Yes, Jesus, you set me free. And I just started crying. I mean,
Hmm.
uncontrollable tears. And everybody's like trying to get me to go to more like a group shares and everything. I'm like, I can't. I can't hold it together because in my heart I was hurting so bad because I felt it was my fault that my girlfriend at the time was in jail. She had me believing that it was all my fault,
Wow.
so and I took that to heart and so from there I kind of kept going, kept returning them meetings even though I was using. I kept going back. I just
Wow.
kept showing back up and like within a couple weeks. I mean, I had it, about a month or so. I had it where I was sober because I was putting in the work. I also started going to mass every morning. Like
Nice.
people
Yeah.
would see me walking from in the middle of winter, walking like about a half mile to mass at like 7 in the morning. And people were like,
Nice.
where's this crazy guy going? Thinking I was all messed up, but I was going to church, trying to get my life back on track. So, like, from that period, I got clean for 4 months and just things spiraled out of control when I was back in school, was just finished up the quarter of school, made dean's list, was doing really well. And the girlfriend at the time relapsed and caused a fight with me, and I relapsed again. And
Mhm.
this time I relapsed for 4 months or 2 months, and it was going to take my life if I didn't figure it out. I was going to die because I felt like I was going to kill myself. I felt like there was a tug of war on my soul, like it was being ripped apart. And I remember going to my mom's house a couple times, and I could hear like demons singing and or talking to me, and I could hear angels on the other side singing, and everybody thought I was just whacked out. Like he is so whacked out on drugs, and I'm just like, no, I am feeling this in my soul. Like something is going on with me that demons were trying to get me to kill myself.
Yeah.
Pretty much is what I tell everybody. Like I was seeing stuff, crazy things, and hearing stuff. It was bad.
Okay. And so, I mean, so you're recognizing this at the time.
Yeah.
At the
So
time, you're recognizing what's happening, though.
yeah, I was recognized seeing it all. And
Right.
I would try to tell people about it, and they thought I was crazy. Like, it's
Right.
the drugs. And I'm like, no, it's not. And then one day, I remember sitting there and I decided to call some more people to help me. And I went and talked with my stepdad and told him, like, hey, I messed up. I relapsed. I think they already knew I did. I was kind of lying about it, but I'm like, hey,
Right.
I relapsed. I messed up. And
Yeah.
they were going to take me to another rehab facility. And I remember they were driving me there, and it's late, like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and they were driving me there. And something in my heart just said, no, you're not supposed to go there. You can do this on your own. You have all the tools you need. Now, did it just happen right away? No. Like about 20 some days later, it all happened. I mean, I was still praying and everything, all on drugs, but just kept putting little work in, little work here. Eventually, the grace just flew, came through.
Wow. And so, how long have you been sober now?
So probably a little over 5 years.
Dude, congratulations. I mean, when you go through something like that and you've been down for that many years and then to come back and you're totally clean for 5 years,
Yeah, like
I,
I said, I'll never touch it again.
congrats. Seriously. I'm so
I
happy for you.
appreciate it.
Man. Man. And you did it yourself with the help of the people closest to you and, by letting God in and asking for
Yeah,
help. I mean,
that was
that's
it.
wow. You know, uh, now, all right. That's where you were. That's where you've been. Um, where are you going now?
So my original plan was I was going to coach wrestling,
Mhm.
and I started a nonprofit organization, this nonprofit wrestling academy, and I was just working with kids. I mean, helping kids become the very best, helping them try to avoid what I'd went through.
Okay.
Who better to lead you out of the darkness than somebody who's already been there. So, like, I loved it. Was having so much fun, but there was a part of me like that was felt unfulfilled yet still. Like I felt like God wanted me to start sharing my story, my testimony, because it's all His.
Yeah.
Everything, like it's all by the grace of God where I am right now. So I uh I had this in my heart for a while. People told me that I'd make a good motivational speaker just because of like my attitude, and I'm just kind of energetic and everything, and just kind of let everything hang out, tell you how it is.
Sure.
But
Well, you're certainly not shy, man.
no, not at all.
Right.
So somebody told me that once, and I was like, huh, that does sound kind of interesting. And I was like, just that's always been on my heart. Like, hey, you can do that, but I with the kids, I was doing a lot of mindset training.
Hmm.
So we would train their minds. And when I got certified by this company to do it, to work with some of the athletes, it was like they gave me this booklet and stuff to what their exercise was. I was like, huh, there's a lot of stuff that I did, to try to, when I was going through everything, just easy stuff. So I'm like, so I got really good at that and I started taking on more athletes and everything. I'm like, huh. And I was like, I need to go and then take this a little further. So I'm like, I could probably do this with a lot of entrepreneurs and salespeople. And I talked with a couple business people, and they're like, yeah, you know your stuff. So it's like, okay. So I this past winter I became signed up to be John Maxwell certified teacher, trainer, coach.
Right on.
I just completed that in August, and in August the Lord touched my heart and said, "You're done coaching wrestling." Kind of,
Nice.
said, "This is the direction you're supposed to go into now."
Nice. Well, and that's important for people to know too. You didn't just like roll out of bed yesterday morning and go, I'm going to go be a motivational speaker. I mean, you went and did training and, you've worked at it and you've put time into it. And, being a Maxwell guy is something.
Yeah.
So that's not nothing. I mean, all the Maxwell guys I've talked to all have the same mindset, goals, and they know how to talk the talk and walk the walk. So, I mean, that's impressive, and that's good credibility for you to have moving forward in your new career you're putting together, which is awesome. Now, to become a public speaker, you're looking for gigs. You went out and got one. I mean, you didn't just sit there and say, "Well, hey, maybe it'll fall out of the sky."
No. So the problem I ran into was I didn't know where to even start. Yeah, I have a college degree, but they kind of teach you. They don't teach you how to do anything. They just give you the bulletproofs. It's like, well,
Right.
how they just teach you the terminology. They don't show you how to do anything. So it's like, huh. So I was on Facebook one day, and somehow I got hooked up with another guy, and it was by God's providence that I got hooked up with a guy, and I just started talking with him, and we set up a meeting to talk, and he's like, "Hey, come join my group for free right now, and then I'll get you." He said it'll be $97 after that, so it's like get one-on-one coaching here or there, and just more group coaching. So we started talking, and I went there and we met one-on-one. He just started giving me pointers on what to do because he's a Maxwell guy too, but he just left his like six-figure job and now is doing coaching full time. And we sat there and talked about my story and everything. He's like, man, I want to help you. So he hooked me up. He's like, I'm going to teach you how to do all this stuff. He goes, but I'm going to tell you what to do. You just go do this stuff. So I just started reaching out to people and got a gig lined up and told him. And he's like, man, you're doing better than a lot of other people. He's just like, you're just going out there. And it's like, yeah, I get a lot of no's, but all it takes is a couple yeses.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, you get on somebody's platform and then you got something you can market with, and then
Yeah.
boom, you're off and running. So that's really cool. Now, the platform that you're going to be on and the event that you're a part of, tell us about that.
So it's a virtual summit more for towards entrepreneurs. I think it's what double your income. So on December 16th to 17th. So I'm mostly focusing on mindset and how to get people, even entrepreneurs, salespeople, business people, to focus on training their mind to see like the positive and everything. I think one stat I seen yesterday was the average person has between 12,000 and 60,000 thoughts, and 80% of those are negative.
Wow.
And one person told me one time when I was getting clean and sober, they're like, for every one bad thought you have, it takes 10 positive to counteract that one. So you just
Nice.
start having to train your mind to start seeing the good in everything. So we do that by like exercises, just like give exercises to do like each week. Um,
Cool.
kind of
So, no, go ahead.
it's kind of like what I focus on with like the kids and getting them to start believing in themselves. I said I sat in a sales conference one day with with all these guys, and the head guy had to sit there and he asked the one question. He goes, So write down on a piece of paper what you want your business to make this year. So everybody wrote it down. And he goes, now on another sheet of paper, he goes, write down what you actually think you're going to make. And it kind of blew me away because I'm like, I had my number the same, and everybody else is like down lower. I'm like, man. He's like, yes, that's why I always start out with the psychology part when I'm doing sales and everything. He goes, I always start out with the psychology because you have to believe it. You can have no matter whatever pitch you want to have, all the pitch and have that stuff all organized how you want it. But if you don't believe you can do it,
Hmm.
then you're never going to accomplish it. So I'm like,
Right.
huh, you're right. I mean, people do need to start learning to train their mind instead of saying, oh, we have all this mental health diseases and everything. No, no, train your mind, train it to start seeing the good and stuff.
So that's what you focus on helping folks with is how to train their minds so that they're not having all of the negative thoughts you're talking about.
Yeah, between
Right.
that and doing like leadership development and stuff like that. I mean,
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And you said it's aimed towards entrepreneurs.
yeah,
Okay. And so the goal there is just to help them with their business, help them start a business, both,
I
all the
think it
above.
is to
What?
help them double their income, is
That's
to,
right.
how to
Okay.
teach them how to go after leads and how to close leads and everything.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. And this is a virtual summit. So it's
Yeah,
online, right?
yeah,
And we had the dates. The summit itself starts on the 16th, but you're speaking on the 17th
yes,
of December,
yeah.
2024. Got it. Okay. And so I know that we had you and I were talking about trying to get a link, for from the host of the summit. If we can get that, then we'll put that in the show notes for everybody who's listening. So it'll be down there. If it's not in the show notes, it just means that we weren't successful in getting the link, prior to having to publish the podcast episode. But they can still go to your Facebook, find you, and then find the event.
Yeah. So as soon as I get all the information, I'm gonna post it on there. So
Excellent. All right. So I will definitely have your Facebook information on there in the show notes. So for anybody who's looking for you, so they can at least start there and then find the event info if that's what they need to do. So one way or another, we're going to get it to everybody just in case they want to go check it out. So, and I recommend you guys check this out. So, you've got the vim and the vigor and the energy, man, to rock this thing. So, I know I'm going to be tuning in. I want to see what this looks like. I'll be like, I interviewed this guy. That's right. So let's see what this public speaking thing looks like. So, and I'm a believer in the Maxwell stuff too. So, I think I've read just about all the books at this point. So,
have you? What was your
uh,
favorite?
21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership.
Yeah, that was
It's
a
a
good
small
one. I
one,
said
but
I
I love that
yeah.
one.
So mine was the one I really like was the 15 invaluable laws of growth.
Growth.
Yeah. So like it showed me a lot of stuff in there. It resonated with what I'd been through. I'm like, huh.
Yeah. I love the laws of leadership because he does so much with like quotes and parables and stuff,
Yeah.
but he researched so many quotes
Yeah.
for that.
Well, he
So,
tells you when he was younger, he had problems with his creativity. They like scored like really low on the creativity part. And he's like, oh, I'm kind of an idiot or something. And he's like, so he has quote books. So
mhm.
when he ever sees a quote, he'll like highlight and save the stuff and he'll put it all away in a binder,
Right. Yeah.
like quotes and stories. It's crazy.
One of my favorite quotes from that one, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership is if you think you're leading and no one's following, you're really just taking a walk.
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, I have that on my wall. It's just one of my favorites, but there are a lot of them I know. So it's going to be interesting to hear you putting all this together, man. It really is. Um, all right, so the wrestling thing's not going on anymore. You put that off to the side, or,
Yep.
or
Just I kind of do mindset training with some athletes still.
okay,
So I do that just to give back and to help. I always like dealing with the psychology stuff of sports. I mean, it just like it gives me a thrill still to deal with that and watch these kids evolve a little bit. So I just do more of the mindset training once a week with kids and stuff. Lessons usually last about 15, 20 minutes. And now I branched off working with some other athletes too from other sports, try to
right on.
give them help, but
That's cool.
just little things like that. I mean, just to give back a little bit still.
That's really cool. The now, do you do one-on-one coaching, with entrepreneurs or anything like that? Is that something that you offer or that you've put together?
Yes, so I'm getting ready to. I'm launching my website right now. I just got my business registered, so my business name's Through the Fire is what it's going to be called. So I got that
Nice.
registered here and getting ready to start building the website and everything after the virtual summit. So I
Excellent.
will start taking on one-on-one coaching clients and just start helping them through everything. So more geared towards salespeople, people looking for lead to develop into leaderships and entrepreneurs. Anybody who's kind of struggling with kind of when to accomplish their goals and everything and just feel stuck,
Hmm.
try to help them unlock it.
That's great. That's beautiful. So you're putting that together, but if anybody wants to like reach out to you and maybe find out about, getting started or what options are, they can contact you direct.
Yep. So just get a hold of me on Facebook and DM me,
Right on.
as I'm
So
trying to get everything up off the ground. So,
that's what we'll do. We'll have your Facebook in there for sure. Now these podcast episodes are around forever. You know what I mean? So once you're in an episode and we publish you, you're part of the episode, table of contents forever, and as long as we're doing the podcast. So when you get that website up and running, make sure you get it to me because I'll go
okay.
back and edit the episode and include the website for anybody who finds you later on. You know what I mean? So I have people who are still downloading and listening to episodes 9 and 10, and sending me messages about them. We did episode 9 on bullying, and
Yeah.
so I have teachers all the time who that because of the SEO, it comes across their feed and they listen to it and they're like, oh man, I need you to speak to this group or whatever because I can't believe your story about bullying. And that came out years ago, but it's still circulating. So once you do a podcast episode, man, as long as you're on with somebody who's got some longevity like we do, you're going to be on for a long time. So make sure you get me that info as you build stuff. Keep giving it to me.
Okay.
Yeah, because I want to make sure we're promoting everything we can for you, man.
Well, I
Very cool.
appreciate it.
All right. Well, I've had you on quite a while. I appreciate, everything you're putting out there. Love your story. Blown away by it. I mean, that kind of a recovery, doing it yourself and with God is huge. It's a wonderful, um, tale of encouragement to anybody who's going through this stuff. So I will end with one question to you. For you've probably seen this coming. Now I haven't prepped him for this, guys. All right, we're going to hit him right on the spot with this one. For anybody who's struggling with recovery, who is trying to break loose from being pulled down, like you had happen to you time and time again. What's your best advice to them in terms of, how to break free, how to take the first step, how to get your head up above water again?
First step would be prayer. So I would probably start praying. That was what kind of was the game changer for me. And like one thing I always learned, people, places, things. So you have to make changes for all that stuff. First thing you gotta do, get rid of a lot of people in your life because a lot of them are not good for you. So start with prayer. Start getting rid of people out of your life because even though you're your biggest problem, some of these people aren't helping you where you're going. So and then you got to worry about what places you go. You got to kind of monitor where you're going to because you don't want to go somewhere where they're going to be using drugs because you'll fall right back into it. And then you got to worry about the things. What are the things that are leading you down that path? So the one thing I learned, I had to fix my weaknesses. And that was the hardest thing that nobody ever wants to focus on is, and even the kids I work with, it's like, we have to fix our weaknesses or else we're going to get exploited here. It's like the demons know us way more than what we know ourselves, and they will attack us and they will drag us down if we're not on guard.
Wow.
So, like I said, you're going to have to start identifying weaknesses, but first start with prayer. So, I know not everybody's Catholic like I am, but I would go to the Blessed Virgin Mary. That would be the person I would go to and let her help you.
Wow.
And she'll lead you closer to God quicker and faster than what you could do it yourself.
Prayer, people, places, things.
Yep.
Boom. Mic drop. Love it. Absolutely love it. That's something that anybody can grab onto. So thank you for that. And Ryan, thank you for coming in and being on the podcast. And this isn't the easiest thing for people to talk about, and you've just been real open and transparent and genuine with everybody. And I just want to thank you for coming on and sharing your story like that, man.
Well, I appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, it's quite the testimony. All right, and good luck at your event. We'll all be tuning in for sure. And it's on you're speaking on the 17th of December,
Yes. Yep,
2024.
17th.
Love it. All right, Ryan Wickline, thank you for being with us today, brother. All right, you guys, that has been another episode of Power Man. You know why we do this? Because so many of us as men, as fathers, as husbands, have issues with, trying to be better. We have issues with thinking that we don't have value. And that's one of the things that leads you down the path to addiction in the first place, is thinking that you're just simply not worth the work. Guys, we do this program because you are. You're worth it. You always have been, you always will be. You just have to believe it. Until next time.